Hemming stitch. Introduction and types. At the end of this class, you will be able to identify a hemming stitch from its distinctive features. List the two types of hemming stitches with its characteristic features. Determine the applications of the two types of hemming stitches. What is a hemming stitch? This is what the basic hemming stitch looks like. It is a permanent stitch too. This is an almost invisible stitch on the right side of the fabric. The stitches are formed visibly only at the back of the garment. Now let's see the types of hemming stitch. Types of hemming stitch. There are two types of hemming stitch. The flat hemming stitch, the vertical hemming stitch. This is how the flat hemming stitch looks like. They are slanting. And this is what the vertical hemming stitch looks like. Just as the name suggests, they are vertical. Flat hemming is faster than vertical hemming. So, if you need to get work done faster, also you may want to go for the flat hemming, as it is faster than vertical hemming. But vertical hemming looks neater than flat hemming, because you see less of the running thread in between the materials. Now let's look at the applications of the hemming stitch. Applications of the hemming stitch. The hemming stitch is applied in finishing work of garments like facing, binding, piping, etc. For example, neckline finishing. It is basically used to secure a hem of a garment. For example, churidar kameez's hemline, a baby frock hemline, the sleeve of a blouse, the hem of trousers, etc. Depending on the situation, either flat or vertical hemming technique is used. If you have a curved facing, curved binding, or curved piping, you would use the flat hemming. Instead, if you had the straight facing, straight binding, or straight piping, you would use the vertical hemming. With that, we come to the end of this class. Before we leave, let's recall what you have learnt in this class. What is a hemming stitch? Hemming stitch is a permanent stitch which is invisible on the right side of the garment and is formed visibly only at the back of the garment. The two types of hemming stitches: flat hemming, vertical hemming. Flat hemming is slanting, while vertical hemming is vertical. Flat hemming is faster, though the vertical hemming is neater. The applications of the two types of hemming stitches. The hemming stitch is applied in finishing work of garments like facing, binding, piping, etc. If the facing, binding, or piping is straight, then vertical hemming is used, and if it is curved, then flat hemming is used. Take our next class to learn how to sew the flat hemming stitch.